Okay, let's start. Please upload your file while listening to the new chapter. And before we start, one thing I want to share with you is about the meaning of akuo. Akuo, we know its meaning is I hear, and notice it can also mean I obey. We know the song trust and obey, but many times we hear and obey. Okay, okay, let's start. Chapter 17 is about a certain kind of Greek verbs. The term they are termed as contract verbs. Contract means what? Contract means to shorten a word or words by omitting or combining some of the letters or sounds. So meaning simply means change. What kind of change? Shortening. When in this chapter, when the certain Greek vowels stand together, then contract happens. Contract verbs, the tense stem ending as a vowel, then this kind of verb is a contract verb. Okay, so there are several vowels in Greek, but only alpha, epsilon, and omicron. So stems end in alpha, epsilon, and omicron. These kind of words are contract verbs. But words like akuo, although this epsilon, now we take it as a vowel, but it is not a contract verb. Actually, it is not epsilon. Before Koine Greek, it is another letter, semi-consonant. So this final vowel is called contract vowel. So there are only three contract vowels: alpha, epsilon, omicron. So for example, agapao, I love. So it ends, the stem ends with an alpha, then it is a contract verb. So you see the stem is agapa, ending with an alpha. So the change of the contract verbs follows the same conjugation as other verbs in terms of the connecting vowels and personal endings. Connecting vowels, personal endings in the present tense, present, active, indicative, we use primary personal endings. But when the final vowel of the stem comes into contact with the connecting vowel, a contraction will happen. So the only difference between contract verbs from other regular verbs is the contraction happens between the final vowel of the stem and the connecting vowel. So, for example, the word poieo means I do, I make, and the stem is poie, and then we do, we make, we have almond connecting vowel and personal ending. So this final stem and this connecting vowel, when they meet together, they have to change. So this is the only difference. So how they change? There are rules, so don't worry, there are rules. So the two vowels combine and form a different vowel or a diphthong. So this is a diphthong, oo. So before we learn the rules, some classification. According to the stem, only the stems only ends with vowel alpha, epsilon, and omicron. So not epsilon is not included. Make sure don't be confused. So akuo is not a contract verb. Akuo is a regular verb. So only three: alpha, epsilon, omicron. So alpha contracts behave similarly. So it means all the Greek verbs stem ending with an alpha, they behave the same way. So if you know the change of agapao, then you know all the alpha ending verbs. The same to epsilon and omicron ending verbs. But the alpha verbs are different from epsilon verbs, are different from omicron verbs. But in each section, in each group, they function the same way. So that's a good news. Contractions. To know the contractions, we must learn to grasp the rules. The rules are very important. If we do not know the rules, we cannot figure out what are these verbs. So, like this, poiete, according to what we have learned in chapter 16, we never meet something like this. We know ace, we know a, we know ete, but we don't know ate. So what this? We have to learn. We have to know this diphthong a is from two s, two epsilons. Okay. So when we see, we only know almond, but now we have woman. So this woman, this oo, where this oo comes from. And there are three possibilities. Can be this one, can be this one, can be this one. So later we will learn the rules. So contraction only occurs in the present and imperfect tense. That is a good news. So in other tenses other than the present and the imperfect, there's no contraction happening. Why? Because of a bad news. A good news, there's no change in other tenses. Bad news is because the bad news is that the change does not happen because of another element. It is called tense formative. Uh, and the tense formative is usually sigma. So the sigma will separate the final stem and the connecting vowel. That's why the conjunction will not happen in other tenses. Don't worry. So now we are going to learn the rules. There are 8, but don't worry. The 8 rules are not that complex, not that complicated. It's quite simple. Just spend a few minutes to memorize, and not many things to memorize. And the most important rules are the first 5, and we call them the big 5. So if you know the big 5 well, then contract verbs just are just a little case for you to handle with. Rules number 1 and 2 are most common ones. Rules number 1 to 5 are the big 5. Rules numbers 1 to 6, better you memorize the endings with the change. Rules number 7 applies to diphthongs. Okay, now the rules. So you see the rules are just in one slide, and we can explain everything. Okay, number 1, remember this one, ooh, this diphthong, ooh. Ooh is formed from three possibilities only. One is epsilon omicron, and one is omicron epsilon, one is 2 omicrons. Okay, memorize what will form oo, 3 only, e o, a e, and a. So a will be oo. Okay, very simple. A will be oo. So that's number 1 finished. Very simple. A will be oo. Number 2, much simpler than the first one, because only one thing. Two epsilons cannot stand together, and then the second epsilon will be changed to an iota. Okay, so second one is diphthong A. This A is formed by 2 epsilons. So just remember 2 epsilons cannot stand together, and the second one must be changed to iota. Okay. So the first 2 are very common, and then if you know the first 2, you maybe have already grasped 80% of the contract verbs. But we have to know the other 3 especially. Number 3 is O, omega O. Omega is formed from almost any combination of omicron or omega. So whether it's this alpha followed by an omicron, it will be changed to omega. For example, agapao, when we come to the first person plural, we will have this. The final stem is alpha. The connecting vowel is omicron. Then these 2, they love each other so much, so they change to omega. They change. So the husband and wife will become one. Okay. So alpha, omicron will become omega. Also, the first person singular omicron, no, alpha followed by omega, just will change to omega and omega also. So agapo. So remember the first singular form for agapao is not agapao but agapo. Okay. But you have to remind yourself, except rule number 1. So except omicron together with epsilon or another omicron. So normally just omicron with omicron or omega with alpha, because if this alpha is replaced by epsilon or another omicron, then it is the rule number 1. Okay. Number 4 is also simple. When alpha and epsilon meet together, then the epsilon drops out. So R will be R. Okay, R will be R. And switch AR will not be R anymore, but A. Okay, so memorize these two together, because just the difference is just the order of the alphabet, the two, the alpha and the epsilon. So if alpha epsilon, then alpha. If epsilon alpha, will be eta. Okay. So spend a few minutes, memorize this big 5. Then you will have any trouble with the contract verbs. So the first one is u. What forms u? 3. Or a. So omicron with epsilon each, no matter the sequence of the two, and then 2 omicrons. So u. Number 2 is simple. Will be a. So number 3 is also simple, mostly alpha. Alpha, whether it is alpha with omicron or omega with anything. If omega meets anything, then always omega. Okay. Number 4 and number 3, memorize them together. R, A. One is R, one is A. When alpha in the beginning is the first one, then alpha. When alpha is the second one, then eta. Okay. Number 6. So forms from these 3. So omicron, when omicron meets A, then oil. So verbs like these: plerao, the second plural, second person singular, plera. When the case ending is ace, together with connecting vowel, then it will be changed to plagiarize. Okay, so I think you have memorized these 5. So one more time. U from epsilon or omicron, or omicron epsilon, or omicron. A from 2 epsilons. Omega is from either omega connects to anything, or alpha meets omicron or omega. Number 4 and number 5, alpha epsilon will be alpha. Epsilon alpha will be eta. This epsilon will be lengthened to eta as the compensation for the dropping off of alpha. Okay, done. And you can just simply this one put the words with symbols. So you see, very simple. Number 1, just like this. Remember the direction of this arrow is to the left, not to the right. So these 3 will change to U. This one will change to A. So these 2 cases and these 2, okay, this one will be alpha, and if iota is followed, then this iota will be subscript. Okay. the same to this. If something iota here, then here will be iota also. Okay. Okay. Any questions regarding the rules? Quite simple. Just one slide. Okay, rule number 7, the contraction of diphthongs. There are 2 possibilities depending on whether the first vowel of the diphthong and the contract vowel are the same letter or not. So the first vowel of the diphthong, whether it is the same or not as the contract vowel. If the same, a simplification will happen. Just one of them simply drops. Okay, when you see a together with A, so either one, you take away either one. Just one epsilon is left. One omicron is left then. Okay, so 2 possibilities, whether the contract vowel is same or different from the first letter, the first vowel of the diphthong. If the same, take away one. Throw away one. If different, then contract. The second vowel of the diphthong will happen like this. If it is iota, then it subscripts if possible. So we know alpha epsilon will be alpha only, and then this iota will subscript. Okay, and if it is not iota but epsilon, then drops out. So erase, take away this epsilon, then you will have all, and then you know this all will become U. Okay. Okay, the last one is not that important. Contract verbs contract as if the true personal endings were those visible in the present active indicative. So memorize agapao like this. As we memorized in the chapter 16 OSA ate usin. For agapao, we memorize like this. O as a, omen ate osin. Okay. So how this omega and alpha with and iota subscripted, they are from the contraction. So these four letters meet together will become this, us. Okay? So just agapo, agapas, agapa, agapomen, agapate, agaposin. O as a, omen ate, osin. The paradigms of the contract verbs, alpha class, epsilon class, and omicron class. So in alpha class, we have agapao. So notice agapo, not agapao for the first person singular. So agapo, agapas, agapa, agapomen, agapate, agaposin. In epsilon class, we have some word like poeo. So we have poeo, poes, poe, poes, poe, umen, poete, poeusin. For omicron class, we have words like plerao, I feel, I fulfill, what else? Feel, fulfill, and what? Complete, yeah, feel, fulfill, complete. Poeo means I do, I make. So this one, plero, plerois, pleroi, plerusmen, plerute, plerusin. The letters in the brackets are the original letters. When they meet together, they will form the ISIF, the endings in red color. So when you see plerumen, you notice U comes from OO. So plera, final stem up with connecting vowel up, then becomes U. So quite simple actually. So some signs, some signals for contract verbs, for contraction. You will always see circumflex over contracted vowel in the present active indicative. So you see, you will always see the circumflex. Okay? No exception. Always, every word, every verb, every form, you will always see the circumflex. Okay? And then the big five, just the same thing. Hint. Actually, you may sorry, you may ignore it. Just some logical thinking aspect. When you see agapate, so if you pretend you do not know the verb agapao very much, so agapate, what is agapate? So whether the verb is agapao or agapeo or agapao, pretend you don't know I love is agapao. So So how to analyze? Then we know the second person plural personal ending is te, and the connecting vowel is e. So where is e? Why this e disappears, and how this disappearing happens? Then we know the rule number 4, e will become a. So now we know it's agapao, not agapeo or agapao. So if this one, these two will become this. So not agapate, should be agapete. And this one will become, should become agapute, agapute. But we have, what we have is agapate, not agapete or agapute. So it's agapao, not agapeo or agapao. Longer a and shorter a. Okay, so this is the hint. The hint is based on the rules. So I have said so many words. So one thing for you is just memorize the big 5 rules. The big 5. Okay. So let us just do one more time. So when you see the deep sound oo, so immediately these 3 will come to your mind: epsilon and omicron, or 2 of omicrons. Whenever you see a in contraction, you make sure you know it's come from 2 epsilons. And this one, although there are so many words, actually it's very simple. Just anything meets omega will be omega. Alpha meet omicron or omega will be omega. Okay, actually the rule number 3 is also very simple. So don't be scared by the words. So many words there, but actually very simple. And always memorize number 4 and number 5 together as a contrast. So just alpha epsilon or epsilon alpha. Switch. If alpha first, then alpha. If epsilon first, then 8. Okay. So we have talked about this already. So you should have known, even before learning Greek, in English, these are the popular ideas we know already. So transitive verbs and intransitive verbs. Transitive verbs carry the force of the action over to an object, require a direct object. So I love you, I love God. Intransitive verbs do not require a direct verbs. If you have to supply prepositions. I fly. The bird. I saw the bird flying tree. You cannot say the bird flies tree. The bird flies to the tree. Okay, the last thing is about the lexical form of the contract verbs. Remember, the lexical form of the contract verbs are not simply the first person singular. Okay. For example, agapao, the first person singular is agapo. But the lexical form is not agapo, but agapao. So we can say something like this. This contracted form of the first person singular. This word does not exist. I invented. So it means the contraction does not happen. So remain the contract vowel and the connecting vowel there. So the lexical form of contract verbs never appear in the text. So in the Bible, you will never encounter the lexical form of the contract verbs. So the lexical form for agapas, you love, singular you love, is agapao, not agapo. Okay, just remember this. The lexical form is not, this may be the only exception for the lexical form. We say the lexical form of the verbs, Greek verbs, are the first person singular. The only exception is the contract verbs. They do not simply take the first person singular as the lexical form, but the one showing the final stem, the final vowel of the stem, Okay, so we finish. Any questions? So to summarize, today you just remember two things. The big five. U from A from and then omega from either omega with anything or alpha meets omicron or omega. Number four, L R will be R, and R will be A, eta, not diphthong A, but the single vowel eta. Okay, just the number five, the big five. So quite easy. Okay, so the second thing is the lexical form of the contract verbs, not simply the first person singular forms. You need to show the final vowel in the stem to let the readers, to make the readers know the real stem of the contract verbs by showing the final vowel, the contract vowel. Okay. The third thing are the vocabularies. So agapao, I love. Agapao, I love. Daimonion, demon, neuter. Second declension. So review the case endings as on, on, or us. So please don't, after you memorize the endings for the verbs and then you forget the endings for the nouns. So you have always A in your mind, then you forget as on. Okay, so as on, on, ois, us. Zeteo means I seek, I desire, I wish, I seek I desire, I wish. No. Θέλω is I wish. Zeteo, I seek, I desire, I try to obtain, uh, to get something. Kaleo, I speak. That's I call. Laleo, I speak. Just like let go. I say, I speak. Oida, I know. Hatan, this one is from hate meets with on. So whenever hate is when, then this one meets with hate is whenever. So now you should know all of these. Hatan whenever, hate when, hati that since because. So just one more thing to remind you in your translations, if you make sure you are translating a direct speech, what the meaning of direct speech? So Stephen Yao says tomorrow will be a weekend. So tomorrow will be a weekend. Tomorrow will be Saturday. So you need quotation marks for the direct speech. So in your translations, when you are very sure you are translating direct speeches, and when you see hate, remove this hate and replace by quotation marks. Okay, especially if you translate your direct speech in the present tense. Okay, for example, Jesus said, Jesus said, you are my disciples. In correct English grammar, cannot be like this. Must be Jesus said that you were my disciples. There must be agreement in terms of tense between the main clause and the dependent clause. Independent and dependent clause, the tense, there must be agreement. So you two ways. You can say, you may translate as Jesus said, comma, question mark, you are my disciples, quotation mark, the other part, two parts. Or Jesus said, you were my disciples. Okay? So hapu, where? Hapos, what the meaning of hapos? This one, pose we know how. Then hapos also how. Who told, does so in this manner. Therefore, then, accordingly. Okay. Play on. A 3-3 adjective meaning greater, am I right? Yeah, larger, more, and it is a third declension word. So the lexical form is this, but remember this is not the general plural, genitive plural. Okay, so although we see Owen, it is not genitive plural, but more masculine or feminine singular nominative, because the original genitive form is play on us. So remove this, and then we can have this. So remember, this is 3-3 adjective. So this are the paradigm. This is the paradigm for this verb. So play on us, play ani, play ana, play anes, play anon. So this is the genitive plural. This is not the genitive plural. Larger, more. Play asi or asin, play anas. So third declension words. So review them maybe weekly or daily. Otherwise, we will forget. Very easy to forget. Pater, mater, adair, pistes, has, he, ha. No. His, hen, pasapan, has, he, ha. No, not has, he, ha. Okay, just review the third declension words. False. And water, I forgot water. Hodea, water. Playwright, I feel, I fulfill, I complete. Playwright, so Omicron class. I do, I make. Epsilon class. And the last one is tereo. I keep, I guard, I observe, Okay. Any questions? If no, we just finish here because we start earlier. So I just finish earlier also. And please, during the weekend, please do the exercise of chapter 17 already on Moodle. Yeah, nothing more. Any questions? If no, God bless you and have a nice weekend and bye-bye.
Thank you, sir. See you in a week.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.